fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Heather D. Tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Welcome to Fish Report Live.
I'm not sure what that was, but I'm Craig Fissinger. That's Ken Francis. Back at our sound room, we've got TK and Heavy D going to be joining them in just a little bit. And Ken, I don't know if you know, but it's December. It's December.
Is it?
That means it's getting dark at 5 o'clock. I don't have any yard work to do. My Christmas lights are already put up, and I'm just glad there's basketball to watch.
You know, Craig, you can't beat basketball. But you know what? It feels like baseball weather out there, as warm as it is, but I'm awful glad it's basketball season. You know, we're starting to get into the thick of the Shelby County League. The MABC is starting to kick up, so just a lot of fun this time of year.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot of basketball tonight, and we got a big interview tonight too, don't we?
Yes, we do, Craig. We're really looking forward to speaking to the new head coach of the Russia Raiders. He's in his first year. He took over for longtime Russia Raider coach Paul Bremingen, and he's Spencer Cordonnier. Spencer's got his Raiders off to a great start this year. I've seen them play a couple times. They play really hard, and I think things are going to look real exciting for the Raiders this year under new first-year head coach Spencer Cordonnier. Looking forward to hearing his words and what he has to say.
Yeah, we'll get to that in the second half of the show, but before we do that, Ken, and get things started tonight, we have a basketball poll question. What do we have tonight?
Well, Craig, speaking of basketball in the Shelby County Athletic League, which boys team has the best chance to win the Shelby County Athletic League this year? Will it be Botkins, Fort Loramie, Jackson Center, or will it be the Russia Raiders going for a three-peat for their third consecutive league championship? Voters, listeners, get out there and vote. Who do you feel has the best chance to win the Shelby County League boys basketball title?
Yeah, all four of those teams in the top, around the top of the SCAL early in the season. And if you're watching us on the Fish Report Live page, you can help us answer that trivia question. Check the results out. If you're watching us on NK Telco or Game Face Ohio, we're going to have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, well, let's get things started. And last week we started a new segment on this show, something that went over pretty well, got a few comments from it, and it's something we like to call Five for Fighting, where basically we have 5 different topics between you, I, and the sound room guys. We all fight for our opinions on these topics. So we're going to check out what tonight's topics are. And guys, what do we got? All right, there we go. There's our 5 for Fighting, 5 topics tonight. And we're going to start out with something tonight, Ken, called Flyers Grounded. We're not talking about the UD Flyers, but actually talking about Marion local football. And, the Flyers, they lost in the state finals last Saturday to Kirtland, and it kind of ended a 4-year streak of state championship runs over there. And tonight we want to know, with a regular season loss to Coldwater this year, and then also that state championship loss to Kirtland, want to know, have the Flyers maybe lost a little bit of their edge, the mental edge that they've had on teams for the last 4 years? Your thoughts?
I don't think so, Craig. They lost a very close game to a very good Coldwater game, eventual Division V state champion. They lost the state championship game in a very close game. They needed to eliminate a big mistake. They had a big turnover there right towards the late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter. That pretty much cost them the game. But no, the Flyers have not lost their edge, Craig. They'll be back. Kirtland was a very good team. Take nothing away from them. And the Flyers, they'll not only reload, but they'll rebuild, they'll reload, they'll have everything it takes to get right back to Columbus next year.
I want to agree with Ken. Coach Goodwin's got a structure. He's got a foundation over there in Maria Stein, and they're just going to continue to build and build every year. What I like about their program is they don't start football in the younger years. They wait until junior high to kick it off. It gives the kids a little bit starting a little bit later, but it gives them a time to mature at the right time, and I like the program he's got.
I want to compare TK before you speak here. I want to kind of compare it to, maybe like I compare it to Tiger Woods. I know it's not the same thing, but Tiger had that streak going forever, and then all of a sudden, he had something else going on there, but lost a little bit of that mental edge. Now all of a sudden your opponents are saying, "Hey, we can beat this guy." Is that going to happen to the Flyers next year?
I don't think so. Since 2000, they've had 8 state titles and like 2 or 3 runners-up. This is just another year, an off year. Yeah, well, an off year when you're the runner-up, that's not too darn bad. So I'm not looking for them to fall off very far if they fall off at all.
All right, good stuff. Well, guys, let's go ahead to the next subject. It's called 15 Games, and Press Pros magazine online. I know a lot of people read their website. Actually had an article last week about the 15-game season for these state championship teams. They get to 15 games by the end of the season, and some people question, that's actually just one game short of what an NFL regular season is at 16 games. Now the NFL, this is grown professional men playing, and now we're talking about high school boys. Is 15 games too much football for a high school team?
I don't think so, Craig, because you don't want to shorten the 10-game regular season schedule. You've got the playoffs. You've got 7 divisions, Craig, and there's only a couple teams in each division that play 15 games. These guys are young, they're energetic, and I don't think 15 games is too many. They span them out over 15, 16 weeks, and the kids will rebound. They always have, and they'll continue to do so.
Yeah, I think the coaching staff's got a pretty good read on the kids, and you can throttle it up or throttle it down throughout the week for practice and kind of gauge it from there.
I think it's too much. I think 16 games or 15 games is too much. I say you to narrow down the regular season to 9 games, and I want to see football done by the end of November. Tired of seeing them playing football the first week of December. I'm ready for basketball to start. I'm tired of these MAC teams not being ready to start basketball. I guess that's a me problem, not a them problem.
I'm telling you, another option is just have 20 divisions, and that would shorten the season altogether. You'd have about 2 or 3 playoff games and call it done. But
don't throw any ideas into them. They may up that from 7 to about 14 here in the next couple years.
All right, guys, well, let's move ahead to our next subject, and that is Russia-Fort Laramie. And, of course, the backyard battle between the Russia and Laramie boys is coming up this Friday in basketball. Of course, the girls actually kick things off on Thursday with the girls matchup over there at Fort Laramie. But, I used to hear a lot of stories about the Laramie-Russia rivalry, a lot of good stories about people throwing stuff on the floor, all kinds of things. I want to know, is this a rivalry as intense today as it was years ago?
Absolutely, Craig. I think it's as intense today as it ever has been, and I think a lot of that's got to do with social media. All these kids, they know each other, and you've got certain people that certain Twitter handles that they tweet out all the time when they win a game, but when they don't win, they don't tweet anything. And it's social media just plays a huge part in this. I think all that Twitter stuff, it just keeps people even more fired up to want to go out and win the game. And the rivalry is just as good today as it was 25 years ago.
It's a lot of fun to watch because you got cousins playing cousins. You got people that married people from Russia, married people from Laramie. And look at the baseball team. They had Coach Sturwald, Coach Schaefer, Coach the other coach, Kevin. That's just the back and forth. Tonight we have the 5th grade girls from Russia play Laramie on Sunday, and I got them pumped up for it because it is Russia. And it's funny, the head coach for the 5th grade girls is Russia native Jason Borchers. So it's a lot of back and forth. It's fun to watch. It's good for the kids. It's a good rivalry.
Craig, you talked about tossing stuff on the court. I've been around here for maybe 15 years. I've yet to see a cabbage head or anything hit a court anywhere, so I'm not sure the rivalry is what it used to be. But you guys should know you've been around a little longer than I have.
Well, I'm sure the superintendents and some of the school administrators are probably glad that doesn't happen anymore.
Well, I think it's a fun rivalry, too, though. The kids, the parents, they all get along well. But, boy, when they're out there on the floor together and they're doing battle, it's a rivalry.
Yeah, I just worked through my mini stroke there. Kevin Flippo, the third, now he's over back at Russia again. So.
Well, I went back and looked at the last 5 years, and both those schools, actually in the last 5 years, the record against each other during the regular season is 5-5. Although Russia is kind of dominated the last 2 years, have gone 4-0. But I think it's just like Ohio State and Michigan. Doesn't matter if there's a 10-game winning streak. It's still a big rivalry, and I'm going to agree with everybody but TK on this one, I guess. All right, guys, speaking of basketball, let's move ahead to our next subject. In Freeburg, you see all kinds of celebrations in sport. If you watch TV, if you watch ESPN, some of the highlights always include, you got it, some kind of celebration. If it's in baseball, it's this past year was flipping the bat. if it's football, the dab. I wasn't sure what that was till you showed me there, but you see Cam Newton and some of these guys doing the dab in football, and in basketball, there's all kinds of 3-point celebrations, whether it's the 3-bird, the 3 goggles, you name it. Is it okay? Do you like to see high school kids celebrate in the same way some of these college and professional athletes do?
You know, Craig, I think that's the question I think can be answered 2 ways. Regular season game, just kind of a calm atmosphere. Yeah, I think it's too much. But, you get in a league championship game, you get in a state championship game, a big tournament game, you hit a big bucket, you make a big catch on the football field, and you want to give the old feed me sign or, the 3-bird or whatever you want to give. It's a big game, it's a big bucket, and it's a big atmosphere. Let the kids have a little bit of fun, but just a little bit, not too much, so I'm okay with it to an extent, yes.
I sat next to the Russia grade school last night at the Russia Anna game, and they had the rafters rocking when Anna was shooting free throws, and that they're into it. You look down at the high school section, they're into it. The Anna student section was into it. It's just a great atmosphere. Let them have a little fun with it.
I agree.
I think they need to calm it down a little bit. In the pros, in college, it's a show. It's worth a lot of money, and they need to be in there and pumping up the TV and the highlights on ESPN.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment. But in high school, it should be a friendly rivalry. You get a fist bump every now and then. You turn to your fans, you get them to stand up and cheer. But I don't see any of that other stuff and all that showing off, because you've barely been there. You've been playing basketball on that stage for 2 or 3, 4 maybe years. You haven't shown anything yet.
I tell you what, I'm on the fence on this one because I thought it was great as well until my 5th grade son started playing basketball recently. He started throwing a few 3-birds, and I'm like, all right, that's enough. So, I guess I got my opinion might be changed here in the next couple of years, but right now I'm a little hesitant on it. So, all right, guys, one more subject to get to, and that is POTW, which stands for Player of the Week. Last week we picked both a boy and a girl. Tonight I'm going to make it easy on you. Just pick one player, boy or girl, from this past week. And for us, our week starts basically on Thursday after our show's over. So from last Thursday till tonight, who is your Player of the Week?
Craig, I'm going with Macy Hillscamp, the sophomore from Anna. She had a huge double-double last Saturday against Russia. She knocked down 20 points and pulled down an impressive 25 rebounds. So those are numbers that only Ben Simmons from LSU can put up. So my Player of the Week, Macy Hillscamp, the Anna Lady Rockets.
All right, good one. Sound room, guys, what do you got?
My subscription ran out on the Sydney Daily News, so I'm going to go a little local here. I like what I see in Josh York. First 3 games of the season, he's averaging about 17 points. But I'm going to give a little shout-out to 6'4" sophomore Jack Daypore. Jack played his first varsity game last night and scored 12 points off the bench after playing in the JV game. So keep an eye on Jack Daypore.
I have to go over to Houston and the girls basketball team over there. The Wildcats were 0-4, and Jenna Winter stood up, led her team to a victory over Riverside with 17 points, which equaled Riverside's score, so a little help from her team, and they won 46-17. Turned right around, went to Botkins, threw down 20 points there, led her Wildcats to a second victory, so that put them 1-1 on the league and 2-4 overall. So she had a heck of a nice end of the weekend, Thursday and Saturday.
All right, good picks there, guys. And am I allowed to go outside of the SCAL?
Absolutely.
All right, well, I want to go over to the MAC then, and there's a young lady, or actually she's a senior over there at New Bremen by the name of Elise Clooney. And after our show ended last week, they took on Versailles on Thursday. She had 14 points in that game against Versailles, actually 4 3-pointers in that game, and they beat Versailles for the first time since 2009, I think it was. Wow. So, that's a big win for the New Bremen program. And then she followed it up on Saturday. They played, who was it? New Bremen played, I think it was Tri-Village. Tri-Village. Won a game against Tri-Village in overtime. This girl, she had 12 points that night, Ken, but more important, she's a 5'5" senior, had 20 boards, and get this, 22 assists.
No way.
In that game. 20 boards for a 5'5" girl, not too bad.
22 assists?
22 assists, overtime win over Tri-Village.
Wow.
And so she's my Player of the Week.
That's a good Player of the Week.
All right, good stuff there, guys, and that does it for our 5 for Fighting. So another good segment tonight.
Good segment of that. I enjoy that.
All right, well, listen, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come right back, though. We're going to talk some more basketball, including that big interview with Russia coach Spencer Cordonnier.
stage at the leaving van. Music starts at 8 o'clock. You can find us here every Wednesday night. It's usually the same cats every week, but I can't tell you all their names. A teacher, a cat, and a junkie, all waiting for time to play. Everybody here's got something that we're trying to leave behind. We're all a little broken, looking for a place to hide. Get no answers, don't ask any questions. We're all here just looking for a high. And we're all beautifully broken here tonight.
Welcome back, everyone, to the second half of Fish Report Live. And before the break, we were talking a lot of hoops. Going to continue our hoops talk, Ken. And we're awfully early in the season yet. I know Russia just got their third game in this past week. But we always like to take a look at the league standings and see where we're at. We're talking boys basketball the second half of the show. So let's take a look at the SCAL standings and see where our boys are at.
Well, Craig, we talked all early in the year how it's going to be a very balanced league this year, and I still feel that way. It's starting to take a little bit of shape already, Craig, and Jackson Center, Rushi both sitting at 2-0 in the early season. Botkins has kind of been the surprise team in the league, Craig. They're at 2-1 in the league. Fort Laramie and Fairlawn and Anna, three teams that I thought would all challenge for the league championship, already with 2 losses. So that's showing the balance already in the league. And, that big game Friday night, Rushi Fort Laramie, that's going to have a big implication on the way these league standings look in another week. So, but they're starting to take shape, and some interesting numbers up there.
Yeah, it is awfully early, but of course we like to stay on top of it every week. And one of those teams on top, of course, is the Rushi Raiders at 2-0 with the Jackson Center Tigers. And here to talk about with us live right now is first-year head coach of the Raiders, Spencer Cordonnier. Coach, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Well, listen, congrats to it on a nice start to the season. Ken and I just went over the standings. You're sitting at the top there with Jackson Center at 2-0 right now. And, before the season started, Coach, there was a lot of talk around town and even in the media about you taking over for former Rushi coach Paul Bremagen, who was here for 31 years. Even you admitted there was a little bit of pressure there with the new job. Has some of that pressure wore off after 3 games?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Paul did such a good job and had so much success and going to one Final Four, getting to the state finals, and winning a ton of games the last 10, 15 years. And the old saying goes, you don't want to be the guy, or you want to be the guy following the guy. And but somebody had to do it, and I knew going in that there was some pressure involved, and this town is a basketball rich town the last 20 years, and everybody looks forward to it during the winter, and after the Fairlawn game, us coaches went into the coach's office and kind of sat down and breathed a big sigh of relief. I was happy that first game was over with, so we could breathe a little bit, and it's a good thing that we came out on top.
Yeah, always a great way to start out the new season with a win. But Coach, last night on Tuesday night, your team picked up a nice win against Anna, but you did it the hard way. It seemed like the Raiders really struggled on both ends of the court in that first half, but you came out the second half, outscored the Rockets 16-2 in that third quarter. I got to ask, what did you say to your boys at halftime?
I didn't say a whole lot differently than what, I did before the game. The first half, I think, our style of play or my style of play, I like to get it out and get it down the floor and try to put pressure on the defense. And I told the kids tonight, I said, maybe some of the turnovers that we did have in the first half is somewhat my fault for wanting to play so fast. But we just turned it the first half. And at halftime, I said, well, let's regroup. And the last thing I said to them, I said, guys, I told you before the season, it is not going to be easy. And there's going to be a lot of nights where you just gotta grind it out. And there's a lot of parity around the area this year, and a lot of those games are just going to, you got to stay with it. You can't let your guard down, and you just got to keep grinding. And the way our guys play defense or have played for the first 3 games, I knew we could get back in it. We just had to find some scoring somewhere, and you don't score when you turn the ball over that much. And we took care of the ball the second half a lot better, and we got some open looks and got some shots to go down.
Coach, hi, this is Ken. We're only 3 games into the season, and last night you shuffled your lineup around a little bit. Still looking for that magic touch on the floor. But you had 9 kids score last night. Did you feel yourself early in the season going that deep into your bench and getting 9 scores in a game?
To be honest with you, I told the kids, the first week of the season, I said, I'm a guy that likes to play 8, and I don't necessarily like to go that deep. But if we have to go 9, 10 deep, we'll go 9 or 10 deep. And last night with some of the struggles that we were having, we've got 10, 11 kids that are capable of going in there and giving us some quality minutes, and we've seen that last night. Josh struggled a little bit the first half, and Clay Borchers came in and gave us probably 6 or 7 quality minutes there in the first half, and in the second half, Ethan Miner came off the bench and probably only played 4 minutes, but hit a big 3 for us in the corner. And the way the game is played is going to dictate, what kind of adjustments we make. And we played 9. I don't know. We may have played 10. Some of them may have only gotten 4 or 5 minutes, but every minute that all those guys played was, we got contributions out of all of them. So, all of them really, they didn't play 25 minutes like they would like, but, when they were in there, they gave us quality minutes, and that's what we're going to need.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about one of those kids that came off the bench for you last night. That's sophomore Jack Daypour. Jack actually split time last night. He played some JV, played some varsity, did very well for you in the varsity lineup last night, and actually came away as your leading scorer. What do you like about Jack?
Well, Jack's got a scorer's mentality. He's looking every time the ball comes his way, he's thinking score first. And the first weekend, we didn't get a whole lot of scoring from our front court, and we thought about it a little bit, and we when we had 4 scrimmages. The first 3 scrimmages we played him probably 3 quarters each scrimmage, and just he looked timid. He looked a little timid in the scrimmages, and rightfully so. He played freshman last year, so he didn't even play any JV last year. So we're bringing him basically from freshman all the way up to the varsity level. And I told him in one of our last scrimmages, I said, look, Jack, I said, I need to see what you can do offensively because, quite frankly, I'm not going to bring you up here to pass all the time. I know what kind of mentality you have. He's had it. He's had it all 3 years I've watched him play so far, and we needed some scoring out front, and he came in and did a great job of it in the second quarter to the rest of the game.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about your game Friday night. You travel to Fort Laramie, always a tough environment to play. You know the Redskins are going to be ready to play. Coach Britton's team really needs a league win very bad Friday night. He's going to have his troops ready to go. What do you know about the Redskins, and what's it going to take to get out of there with a victory?
Well, I know last night we seen that the Braun kid had 22, 23. And they've got a couple other guards, Werman and Rosengarten that can shoot it. From what I gather so far, they're really trying to drive it, kind of trying to play a half-court game and get a good quality shot. And last night beating Fairlawn, a good Fairlawn team by 9. Like I said, Braun had 23, and I think they're setting their guys up with a lot of ball screens, and their guards are pretty darn quick and can get to the glass pretty easily if you don't help out, and if we don't help out Friday night like we should, it could be a long night. It could be a defensive struggle.
All right, Coach. Hey, listen, we're about running out of time, but I got one more question. A little earlier tonight, the crew here, we were debating on the intensity of this rivalry between Russia and Laramie. You played back in the early 90s, the mid-90s, so you know what it was all about. Let's ask you, as a player and as a coach now, do you feel like that intensity of that rivalry is still the same back then or today as it was back then?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty intense, in the late '80s and through the '90s. I don't know. The kids, they look forward to going over to Laramie and playing them there and playing them at home twice a year yet. I know it's still in their one of the games that they mark every year that they want to come out and play their best and try to get that win. It's been a rivalry for a long time, so I don't know that it may not be as intense as it once was, but it's still a pretty darn good rivalry.
Coach, listen, I know you're busy. We really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule tonight away from the family and the scouting reports there, and best of luck this weekend. You got your Raiders off to a great start. Keep working them hard, and get another W on Friday night. Good luck.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for all you guys do, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Coach. All right, that was Russia head coach Spencer Cordonnier. And speaking of that Russia-Laramie game this Friday night, if you're heading to the game, I know they've got a great event going on there in addition to basketball, don't they, Ken?
Yes, they do, Craig. They got the second annual Holiday Helpers game. They're asking everyone in attendance for that game, Craig, to bring a toy anywhere from a toddler all the way up to an 18-year-old, and then they're going to present the gifts at Dayton Children's Hospital. It's a great event put on by Coach Britton and the Fort Laramie Redskins, and I just think it's a great thing about the holiday season, putting the giving season into it, and bringing the two communities together to donate tons of toys for these kids in need. So thanks, Coach Britton. Thanks, Laramie Redskins, for putting on such a nice event, and we'll look forward to helping you guys out Friday night.
And the best part about it, I know Heavy D and TK like this. If you bring a toy, you get a free bag of popcorn.
You get free popcorn, Craig. So I don't know if you bring two toys, if you get 2 bags of popcorn or not, but good chance Heavy D might bring 2 toys.
I can see him trying that out. All right, Ken, last thing to get to tonight, and that is tonight's poll question. If you want to read it again for our viewers, we'll have the guys check the telemetrics.
Absolutely, Craig. Which boys team has the best chance of winning the Shelby County Athletic League this year in basketball? Is it Botkins, Fort Laramie, Jackson Center, or the Russia Raiders going for a three-peat? TK, what's our telemetrics say back here?
Well, we might have some hometown voting going on tonight. We've got 70% of the vote going to your Russia Raiders and 30% for the Jackson Center Tigers. So
they're
heavy
those
home favorites now.
Those two teams are sitting up at the top of the standings right now, Craig, and they're both 2-0, and there's some very good teams in the league already with 2 league losses that can ill afford any more, because I think 2-3 losses will win the league this year. But boy, the Raiders and Tigers both off to good starts.
All right, great stuff, guys, and a great show. Like I said, love talking basketball in the month of December. That's
Absolutely.
For sure. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. I do want to say special thanks to our guest, Coach Spencer Cordonnier from Russia, for joining us on the show tonight. Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week, same time, same place, to talk some more basketball. So until then, have a great rest of the week, and good night, everyone.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish